Texas officers at the wrong home opened fire on a man even after he surrendered. Let's give you more details. They have not released the body cam footage, but we do have more information to share. Texas man says police shot him in the leg after he dropped his gun and surrendered outside his own home during a botched late night raid. A wrong address blunder that left his family handcuffed for hours and their house riddled with bullets and flood damage. Thomas Simpson is his name. He says he stepped out of his garage with a gun to confront alleged intruders. I mean, that's reasonable. But then dropped the gun when he realized they were cops. Thank goodness he realized at some point law enforcement. But the Grand Prairie police officers claimed they were in fear for their lives and fired several shots after he had dropped the gun. He was struck in the leg, as we said. He's recovering from that gunshot wound. He's very lucky. He's very lucky to be alive. However, other bullets struck the walls of his home. He was concerned his family was inside the home had been shot in their sleep. One of the bullets struck a water pipe, flooding the family home. My nephew was on the other side of this wall, he told WFAA TV, pointing to a bullet hole that struck his home. He's lucky he didn't get hit. My wife is in bed. Those shots are going straight towards her, he said, showing the WFAA reporter the gunshots that struck his home. So I was terrified that she got shot while she was in bed. This is a hell of a mistake. Despite the blunder, Grand Prairie police still detained his entire family, including his 13 and 16-year-old children, keeping them handcuffed in the back of patrol cars for 4 hours. Now, see, do you see what they do? By now, you realize you went to the wrong home, and by shortly thereafter, you, in CYA mode, could also run the identities of those who you've encountered and say, is there a fugitive that I mistakenly happened upon? 4 hours, a 13 and a 16-year-old in the back of a patrol car while shots had just rung out. Okay. They were in the back of that patrol car while he was being treated at the hospital for the gunshot wound to his leg. Even though he never fired off a single round, Grand Prairie police are trying to persuade, here we go. They're trying to persuade the local DA to charge him with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon against a peace officer. That's a first-degree felony that could send him to prison for anywhere from 5 years to life in prison. But that is likely an attempt to derail Simpson's plan to file a lawsuit, which he told local media he does plan to do. Now, see, mistakes happen, and I think that this is not an excusable mistake. It's a bumbling one, and there should be, you check and you double check. I just sent out a wire transfer today. And because, once it's like giving somebody cash, the bank double checks and triple checks, calls you back to make sure it's you. Just these are their procedures in place to make sure that fraud doesn't play out. You're going to someone's house to execute whatever with a gun and backup, and there's no system in place that says, oh snap, this is not the right place. And then you want to lie about it. That's what it's called. Grand Prairie police told local media they were supposed to be responding to a disturbance call at a neighbor's house, but were mistakenly sent to the wrong address. There's your headline. Not this nonsense about first-degree aggravated assault that could send a man to prison for many years who was just sleeping and you shot him in the leg. You flooded his home. The error occurred in part because the 911 call came from a cell phone, leading to a computer-aided dispatch system error. Yada, yada, yada. Stop it. Well, I'm going to get to the rest of the information, but they have to stop this.
Yeah.
You had chance. Don't blame it on computer. The 911 call something about the cell phone tower. Nah. It's like, I feel like a DJ. I mean, you lied. And you're still Stop it. I just can't. I'll let you interject for a moment. Then I'm going to give you the rest of this nonsense.
I would love to know the percentage of police reports that end up being factually incorrect whenever there's some level of scrutiny applied
86%.
to a case. Like, it's almost like every single time a case, sort of rises to the level of public scrutiny. And so people are like digging through all of the facts and all of the evidence. It's like every time these guys go in their initial report and just tell a fable. It's really
A
crazy.
fable. It's true. It's fantastic. A little short story that could have ended in a man's death. That's what it is. You're right, a fable. Why are you doing this? None of this even had to even go there. I guarantee you, even though you shot him in the leg and you're going to have to pay out and you're going to have to fix his home. If you would have said, my buddy, dude, okay. And then if I'm the chief, I step before the camera and say, this is horrific. And protocols were breached. And oh, yeah, I'm going to tighten the ones that are in place and ensure that even more are going to be adhered to. So this never happens again. That's it. Okay. Yes, the news is going to show it, actually. The bullet holes and the flooding. And he has a big bandage on his leg. It's ridiculous. What I saw is the garage door open. I saw two pairs of legs. So I raised my pistol, ready to fire, assuming it was criminals. Simpson told KTVT-TV. I never popped the round off. Very glad you didn't. Soon as the door opened, I saw their badge. I threw the gun to the ground, got shot in the leg. I dropped to the ground. Grand Prairie PD proceeded to fire about 8 rounds after I was on the ground. Why are you firing eight rounds after he drops to the ground? Were you just firing wildly as if you were at Breonna Taylor's house or something? Well, that's what they did that night too. Different state, different jurisdiction. But this is what we're talking about. I want to know, and I think it's a specific question that deserves an answer. Okay. Because just like that Breonna Taylor case, she should be here. He also said the cops never identified themselves as police. They never say police department. Like, isn't that relevant? Okay, he's in Texas where everybody has a gun
Exactly.
and you have a right to defend your home. Isn't that what we're supposed to be here in America? Second Amendment. You never say you're the police. And I want to know, was about the 8 rounds you've kept fired. Either you are a horrible shot with a danger, because you would only fire if your life's in danger. And so you got to eliminate the danger, right? So you're a horrible shot. You fire 8 more rounds and you flooded stuff and you just shot up the place, or you got scared and you just, like it was the 4th of July. I don't understand these people, how they keep a job. This man's lucky to be alive. Your turn.
Yeah, most certainly. And like, to echo your point about being in Texas, which is, everybody knows is a place where gun ownerships, it happens at a very, very high rate. The idea that you wouldn't identify yourself knowing that there's a high likelihood that this guy is armed because, again, of the carrying laws out in Texas is kind of absurd to me. And another thing that I always tend to think about in these situations, I wonder what, the median household income is in that neighborhood. Because I promise you, when the cops go to more affluent neighborhoods, they do not go in there guns a-blazing. No matter what warrant they're executing or who they're looking for, what crime they committed, when they go to affluent neighborhoods, they don't go in there like cowboys. They only do this when you're underneath a sort of, financial threshold. And maybe, and that's complete guess by me. I don't know how much money is in that area, but I find it hard to believe that if the cops thought they were in a well-off place, they would comport themselves in the manner that they did
You're
here in this
so
case.
right. You're so right. I accidentally, by mistake, live in one of those affluent areas. I'm just going to be honest. I live on a street where there's old money and By the way, whenever the power's out on this street, maybe it's out throughout the whole city. Do you want to know whose power comes back on first? I'm smiling, but I don't. I'm just telling you how you're so right about that. I've had police come to my door checking on something, some Karen block away about dogs barking. It might have been mine. I told him come back later. I'm busy. I didn't even open the door. I shouted it through the through the glass door, and they left. So it depends, and that's not black or white. Okay, that's you're right. Okay, this is an abomination. This is hideous. This is ridiculous.
And
Okay,
by the
what
way, where
happened?
it gets tricky for black people is that because black people are overrepresented in the poor population of our country for various reasons, whether it be slavery, Jim Crow, deindustrialization, you name it, all of the various things that have kept black people, a lot of black people, under the boot of inequality. Oftentimes the authorities, like, they don't know, so you might be doing your thing, but because you're black, they're gonna assume,
Mhm.
because of how overly represented we are in the poorer populations, that you aren't who you are in terms of your class strata, right? And that's what complicate things for black people in these situations.
Look, this man is lucky to be alive.
100%.
Okay. I remember the football player, Sean Taylor, wasn't it?
Yep.
Who was shot in the leg. And we all thought initially, okay, it's going to be, no, it hit the main artery and he was dead. Intruders burst in and a promising young football player was dead. And never mind the football, his family, his children. So there's that.